she said. I don't want to get married. I haven't had my fun yet. I replied, all right. I stopped waiting and chose my own path. While she was chasing experiences, I built stability and met someone who knew what she wanted. She said it casually, like she was commenting on the weather. I don't want to get married, she said, swirling her drink. I haven't had my fun yet. I'm Ryan, 32M. She's Elise, 28F. We'd been together almost 5 years. Living together for 2. Talking about timelines, rings, neighborhoods. At least I thought we were. Apparently, those conversations were just placeholders to her. Something to revisit after she was done experiencing life. I waited for the punchline. It didn't come. I asked what fun meant. She laughed, sharp and dismissive. You know, traveling without checking in. Going out. Meeting people. Not feeling tied down. Tied down. Like I was a leash, not a partner. I told her I wasn't asking to rush. I just wanted to know if we were moving in the same direction. She rolled her eyes and said the line that finally made everything quiet in my head. Why are you in such a hurry? I'm still young. I don't want to settle before I've lived. I looked at her across the table. This woman who complained when I worked late, who hated instability, who said she wanted a future, but only on her terms, only when it stopped costing her options. I nodded and said, all right. That surprised her. All right, she repeated. That's it. That's it, I said. She smiled, relieved. Reached for my hand like this conversation had gone well. Like I'd just agreed to wait indefinitely while she figured herself out at my expense. What she didn't realize was that, all right, wasn't me agreeing to pause my life. It was me stepping off the track entirely. That night, while she went out with friends to celebrate her freedom, I sat at home and did something I hadn't done in years. I planned without her. I updated my savings goals, looked at job postings in cities she hated, thought about what I wanted my life to look like: quiet, stable, intentional. She wanted experiences. I wanted direction. And for the first time, I realized those two things weren't compatible anymore. The first thing Elise noticed wasn't my silence. It was my absence in places she expected me to stay. I stopped asking what time she'd be home. Stopped checking in when she went out. Stopped rearranging my schedule around her last-minute plans. I didn't sulk or complain. I just removed myself from the waiting room. She came home late one night, heels in hand, smelling like a bar she swore she didn't like anymore. She tossed her jacket on the chair and said, "You didn't text." I looked up from my laptop. Didn't have anything to say. She frowned. That's weird. No, I said. This is what not being tied down looks like, right? She laughed like I was joking. You're being dramatic. Maybe. Or maybe I was finally being honest with myself. The next week, I told her I was taking a weekend trip. She asked where. I said out of town. She asked who with. I said just me. That irritated her more than if I'd said another woman. So now you're doing your own thing? She asked. I shrugged. You said you didn't want to feel limited. She rolled her eyes. God, you're taking this so personally. Of course I was. It was personal. She just didn't think my timeline mattered. While she was posting stories from clubs and brunches with captions about living freely, I was quietly making moves. I met with a recruiter. Put money aside she never noticed because she assumed it was already handled. I stopped floating her expenses. Stopped being the steady background while she chased novelty. She didn't notice the change until one night she asked, "Do you still see us getting married someday?" I answered honestly. I see myself getting married. I'm just not waiting anymore. That wiped the smirk off her face. Wow, she said. So you're punishing me for being honest? No, I replied. I'm listening. She didn't like that answer. Because for the first time, her freedom didn't come with the guarantee that I'd still be standing there when she got tired. And that scared her more than she expected. The more Elise leaned into her fun phase, the more irritated she got that I wasn't orbiting it anymore. She'd come home buzzing from nights out, narrating stories like I was supposed to clap. Who flirted with her? Who bought her drinks? How free? She felt not having to answer to anyone. I listened. I didn't react. That bothered her. You're being weirdly calm about this, she said one night, tossing her phone onto the couch. Most guys would be jealous. I looked at her. Why would I be jealous of something you asked for? She scoffed. So you're just fine with me living my life? I'm living mine too, I said. That was the moment she realized she'd miscalculated. She wanted freedom with a safety net. Wanted to explore while knowing I was still parked exactly where she left me. The guy who paid the rent on time. The guy who planned ahead. The guy who'd be ready when she decided she was done playing. But I wasn't parked anymore. I started coming home later, not from bars, but from the gym, from networking events, from dinners with friends she'd always dismissed as boring couples. I updated my wardrobe, not to impress anyone, just because I finally had the mental space to care. She noticed. Of course she did. You're really putting effort into yourself all of a sudden, she said, suspicious. What's that about? I smiled. I stopped waiting. That answer pissed her off more than anything else I'd said in months. She accused me of being passive-aggressive, of trying to guilt her, of pretending to be mature while secretly judging her. I didn't deny it. I just said, we want different things right now. She crossed her arms. So what? You think you're better than me because you want to settle down? No, I said. I think I know what I want. That silence afterward was thick, because deep down, Elise knew the truth. She wasn't choosing freedom over marriage. She was choosing delay and assuming I'd pay the cost for it. And for the first time since we started dating, she was realizing I might not. The argument didn't happen all at once. It leaked out over a week in small, cutting remarks. Elise started picking at things she'd never cared about before. The way I dressed. The fact that I went to bed earlier. How I didn't match her energy anymore. You've gotten boring, she said one night, scrolling through her phone while I cooked dinner. You used to be more fun. I didn't look up. You used to say you wanted peace. She laughed, not amused. Peace is what people settle for when they're done living. That word again. Settle. Like commitment was a consolation prize. I told her I'd accepted a new role at work. More responsibility. Better long-term prospects. It required me to travel occasionally and might lead to a move next year. She frowned. You didn't talk to me about that. I didn't think I needed permission, I said. Her eyes narrowed. So now you're making life decisions without me? I set the plate down and finally met her gaze. You said you weren't ready for a shared future. This is just my future. That's when she snapped. So what? I'm supposed to just sit here while you build some boring suburban life, she said. You think I'm going to wait around while you turn into a husband? I smiled a little, not out of cruelty, but clarity. No, I think you're going to do exactly what you want. She didn't like that answer. She wanted resistance, begging, reassurance that no matter how far she wandered, I'd still be there when she circled back. Instead, I started sleeping in the guest room. Not because we were fighting, but because I was done pretending we were aligned. She told her friends I was pulling away, that I was being distant, that I was acting superior because I wanted stability. What she didn't tell them was that every time I tried to talk about the future, she treated it like a threat to her freedom. And for the first time, I wasn't apologizing for wanting more than moments. I was choosing direction over delay, and Elise could feel it slipping through her fingers. The night everything finally surfaced wasn't loud. It was quiet in the way that means something's already broken. Elise came home early for once. No heels in her hand. No buzzing energy. She stood in the doorway watching me pack a small overnight bag. You going somewhere? She asked, trying to sound casual. Yeah, I said. Staying with a friend tonight. Her jaw tightened. Since when do you need space? Since I stopped pretending this is temporary, I replied. That did it. So what? She snapped. You're punishing me because I don't want to rush into marriage like some suburban checklist. I zipped the bag slowly. I'm not punishing you. I'm adjusting. She scoffed. You're acting like I did something wrong. You didn't, I said. You were honest. So was I. That confused her. Anger, she understood. Ultimatums, she expected. Calm acceptance. That scared her. She crossed her arms. You said all right like it didn't bother you. It did, I said. I just didn't argue with reality. She stared at me, searching for leverage. You're really okay just letting this go? I met her eyes. I'm okay not waiting anymore. Her voice sharpened. So if I decide in a year that I'm ready, you're just gone? I paused, then answered truthfully. I might be married by then. The color drained from her face. She laughed, but it cracked. You're bluffing. I'm not, I said gently. I want a life that's moving forward. She shook her head, suddenly angry. You think you're better than me because you're boring enough to want stability? No, I said. I think we're just in different places. That night, I didn't come home. And for the first time since she told me she wasn't ready to settle down, Elise was the one lying awake wondering if she'd waited too long. Because freedom feels powerful. Until the person who wanted you forever stops waiting. When I came back the next morning to grab clothes for work, Elise was already awake. She was sitting at the kitchen table, makeup untouched, coffee cold. That alone told me she hadn't slept. So this is it, she asked. You're just out here building a life without me? I didn't sit down. You told me you weren't ready. I believed you. She laughed, bitter. I didn't say I wanted this. I nodded. I know. You wanted time. You just didn't want it to cost you anything. That hit a nerve. She accused me of abandoning her. of pressuring her without saying it outright, of acting like her honesty was a betrayal. I didn't raise my voice. I just told her the truth she'd been avoiding. I don't want to be a placeholder, I said. I don't want to be the guy you keep around while you decide if something better comes along. Her expression hardened. So now I'm the villain because I want to live? No, I replied. You're not the villain, but I'm not the sacrifice. That shut her up. Over the next few weeks, we lived in a strange limbo. Same apartment, separate orbits. She went out more, harder, more stories, more proof of life posts about being spontaneous and free. I went the opposite direction. I focused on work, signed a lease on a smaller place closer to my office, started putting money into a long-term investment account I'd always postponed because we might need it. She noticed everything. You're really serious about this stability thing, she said one night, half mocking. I'm serious about knowing where I'm going, I answered. She rolled her eyes. God, you sound old. Maybe, but I slept better than I had in years. She didn't. I could see it in the way she lingered after nights out, in how she'd scroll through my calendar when she thought I wasn't looking, in the questions she asked that weren't really questions. Are you meeting someone tonight? Who were you texting? Do you even miss us? I never lied, and that honesty terrified her, because while she was chasing experiences, trying to prove she wasn't missing out, I was quietly building something solid, and she was starting to realize she might not be part of it. The tension peaked the week I signed the new lease. I didn't announce it. I just started packing boxes on my side of the closet. Quiet, methodical, no drama. Elise noticed immediately. So this is real, she said, standing in the doorway. You're actually leaving. Yes. She scoffed, trying to regain control with sarcasm. Wow. All because I said I wasn't ready to get married. You're really that insecure? I taped a box shut and looked at her. No, I'm just done being on standby. That word hit her harder than I expected. Standby, she repeated. You act like I was using you. I didn't raise my voice. You were asking me to pause my future while you explored yours. She laughed sharply. You make it sound so dramatic. Because it is, I replied. That night, she went out again. Later than usual. Louder than usual. She posted videos dancing, laughing, talking about living in the moment. But when she came home, the apartment was dark and quiet. I was asleep. That drove her crazy. The next day, she asked if we could talk. Actually talk, not fight. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. I didn't think you'd actually choose stability over me, she said. I met her eyes. I chose myself. She frowned. So what, you think I'm immature because I want experiences? No, I said. I think I want permanence, and you want options. She snapped back immediately. Options aren't a bad thing. They are, I said calmly, when someone else is paying the waiting cost. That shut her up. A few days later, I went on my first date since we'd emotionally split. Nothing wild. Coffee. Conversation. Clarity. The woman asked me what I wanted in 5 years. I answered without hesitation. That alone felt like a revelation. When Elise found out, because she always found out, her tone changed completely. Not bitchy. Not mocking. Scared. Are you already replacing me? She asked. I shook my head. No. I'm moving forward. And for the first time, she understood the real consequence of saying not yet to someone who was ready. Sometimes, not yet just means not with you. Elise didn't take the idea of me dating well. Not openly at first. She tried casual indifference, which for her meant asking questions she pretended not to care about. So was she cute? What does she do? Did you tell her about us? I answered simply. Yes. She works in healthcare. No, there is no us. That last part annoyed her the most. She started reframing the past, saying things like, I just needed a little more time, and I didn't mean I'd never want to get married. As if timelines didn't matter. As if 5 years together was still early days. One night, she cornered me in the kitchen, arms crossed, voice sharp again, like she was trying to reclaim familiar ground. You really think some girl you met over coffee knows what she wants more than I do? I met her gaze. She does. Because she's not unsure. That landed hard. She scoffed. You're romanticizing stability. You'll regret settling. I shook my head. I don't think building a life is settling. She laughed, but it was thin. You just want certainty because you're scared of missing out. I almost smiled. No, I'm okay missing out on things that don't move me forward. That's when she finally snapped. You act like I wasted your time. I paused, then told the truth. I think you were honest. I just wish you'd been honest sooner. That shut her down. Over the next few weeks, the dynamic fully flipped. She stopped going out as much, started staying in. started asking questions she never cared about before. What neighborhoods do you like? Do you think people can change their minds about marriage? I didn't engage, because now she wasn't chasing fun anymore. She was chasing closure. Meanwhile, I kept seeing the woman from coffee. Her name was Hannah. She asked questions Elise never did, about values, about family, about what kind of life I wanted when things got boring. I realized something uncomfortable but freeing. I wasn't excited because she was new. I was calm because she was aligned. And Elise could feel the difference. Because while she was still deciding who she wanted to be, I was already becoming it. The day I moved out for good, Elise didn't yell. She stood in the doorway watching me carry boxes like she was waiting for me to stop and say this had all been a misunderstanding. I didn't. You're really choosing her, she said finally, bitterness creeping back into her voice. After all this time, I set a box down and corrected her. I'm choosing alignment. She just happens to be aligned with me. She laughed, sharp and defensive. You don't even know her. I know she knows what she wants, I said. That's enough. That's when the mask slipped. So what? I was just your practice run, she snapped. You waited all this time just to give your future to someone else. I didn't take the bait. I waited because I loved you. I left because I stopped lying to myself. That one hurt her. She followed me to the car, arms crossed, voice raised now. You're going to regret settling down so fast. You'll wake up one day and realize you missed out. I paused before getting in. I already woke up. That's why I'm leaving. She didn't respond. Weeks passed. The apartment was quiet. My life wasn't flashy, but it was steady. Hannah and I didn't rush anything. No pressure. No timelines used as weapons. Just conversations that actually went somewhere. One night, she asked me a simple question over dinner. What are you building toward? I answered without hesitation. Later, I heard through mutual friends that Elise was struggling, not financially, but emotionally. The parties felt hollow now. The attention wasn't fulfilling. The freedom she'd chased didn't feel as empowering when the person who wanted her long-term had stopped waiting. She started asking people our age if they thought it was too early to want marriage. No one gave her a good answer, because timing only works when two people are moving in the same direction. And for the first time since she said she wasn't ready, Elise was standing still, watching someone else move on without her. The last conversation Elise and I had didn't happen face to face. It came in the form of a long text, sent close to midnight, weeks after I'd moved out. I didn't realize having fun would feel this empty, she wrote. I thought I was choosing myself. I didn't know I was choosing against us. I read it twice, then once more, slower. Because this time, it wasn't bitchy. It wasn't defensive. It was late understanding. I didn't rush to reply. I didn't know her reassurance anymore. When I finally did, I kept it honest and short. You chose what you wanted. I did too. She responded almost immediately. So that's it. You're really done waiting? Yes, I typed. I waited long enough to know what I wanted. I don't want to convince someone to walk the same direction. She didn't answer after that. And somehow, that felt like closure. A few months later, Hannah and I moved in together. No rush. No pressure. Just alignment. We talked about marriage openly, not as a trap, not as a deadline, but as something we both wanted to build toward. It felt calm, certain, adult. One night, she said something that stuck with me. I like that you don't feel like you're racing against time, she said. You just know where you're going. She was right. Elise wasn't wrong for wanting experiences. She just assumed love would wait while she collected them. I wasn't wrong for wanting stability. I just stopped apologizing for it. She said she didn't want to get married yet. I said all right, and meant it. Not all right, I'll wait. But all right, I'll move forward. And sometimes, choosing your own path doesn't look dramatic at all. It just looks like walking away quietly and finding someone who was already walking the same way.